I'll start off with the easy one. And I mean, there is something to it, but I'm going to start off with the Texans. Because we're going to start with the Texans, we'll end with the Cowboys.
Okay.
And I mean, Cowboys is easy too, but I was just saying, the Texans, I want to get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I went back to being a Texans fan, and
I think you're going to like this one.
It's not gone well. It's not gone well so far. The injuries continue to mount up for the Texans. Now Derek Stingley this week, who's been playing pretty well at cornerback, is on the injured reserve for 4 weeks with a hamstring.
Another one?
With a hamstring injury, so he is now out. Jalen Petrie, I don't believe, will be back after having that bruised lung. So that secondary is starting to get pretty beat up out there. The O-line, of course, we know is very beat up, and I think week 5 is the earliest we're really going to see it really starts coming together. Laramie Tunsil's supposed to be back, which would be nice. They were playing 4 backup offensive linemen.
That's
2 second stringers, 2 third stringers, and 1 first stringer, who's a guy they traded for. That was who was on that offensive line last week. But this is the thing with the Jaguars. This is what your hope is that the Texans historically have been good against the Jaguars, even when the Texans are bad.
Yeah, it's a division matchup.
Trevor Lawrence is 1-3 against him. And the Jaguars, that one is the one win that Jaguars have against the Texans since 2017.
There you go.
So there's a lot. So the Texans are beat up. C.J. Stroud looked okay. He's 4th in the NFL in passing yards. He's no interceptions. They're not getting down, but the injury to Noah Brown opened it up, and Tank Dell looked really good in that game as well. We know Nico Collins is starting to step up as a wide receiver. They need to figure out Bobby Slowick at the offensive coordinator. Needs to figure out a way to run the ball. I get your offensive line is beat up, but you have to be able to run the ball with Dameon Pierce. Like, that's supposed to be your bread and butter game plan, and they are just not getting anything out of that run game.
Yeah, no, you have to get some sort of production. You talked about it earlier this week about balance.
Yes.
You have to be able to do both sides. You have to be able to pass and run to be effective.
Yeah, and I mean, with the stats we had, the teams that have more rushing attempts than passing through 2 weeks are 16-1.
Bingo.
And teams that rushed more attempts than the other team are 26-6. And so that one was a Brandon Staley, which we'll get to, but Brandon Staley sucks as a coach. That's the only reason. Their head coach is terrible.
You're not voting for him for Coach of the Year?
I'm voting for him to get fired. I'm providing my vote in as a proud owner of the Chargers that I continue to call San Diego. I'm not an owner of the Chargers. Jaguars are favored by 8. How do you feel about this game, Jacob?
I got to tell you, I think you're going to like this one. I like the Texans and the points on that. I don't like a big spread in a division game because, like you said, I mean, they're only 1-3 over the Texans.
Yeah, and I think, too, once you get in that second half, if the Jaguars are even up, a little bit, they're going to kind of relax that defense. They weren't, everybody kept saying that the Colts were playing a prevent defense against the Texans. They were not. It was not a prevent defense for the entire second half. It was at the very end, but it wasn't. It was just the Texans were starting to figure it out. They weren't pass rushing as much.
Right.
And so C.J. Stroud was able to get some passes off, and it looked a little bit better. Go over Titans versus Browns. Interesting game, Titans versus Browns. Browns favored by 3.5, but this is the Chubb injury happened. The Titans are starting to look okay. Can Deshaun Watson turn the corner and lead this Browns team, or do they start going down? Again, if you're a Texans fan, go Titans, because we're not winning the division, and we need that pick, man.
Yeah.
The Texans have the Browns pick, so you're hoping that the Titans can take care of business. Titans pounded the ball last week. They weren't even getting huge gains on it. It wasn't like they were running, down their throats.
But that's what you have to do.
But they just kept running it.
Yeah.
So at the Browns, you bring in Kareem Hunt, but he hasn't played in a game.
I doubt he's going to get any kind of regular workload.
So
yeah.
what they're going to be able to do against this Titans team is Browns are favored by 3.5. They're at home. Can Deshaun Watson turn the season and get the Browns back on track, or is Browns start hitting the emergency the panic button?
Can I give you a couple stats?
Yes, sir.
So the Browns have the 26th ranked passing offense in the NFL.
Yes.
No surprise. The Titans are tied for 3rd in rushing defense in the NFL. So Browns can't throw the ball, and you probably can't run against the Titans.
Yeah.
Give me the Titans money line. Win it outright.
All right. I like it. Yeah, I have the Titans at least covering in this one. It seems to me that the Browns don't have it right now.
Yeah.
They haven't got it figured out. Maybe they will. This Titans team Mike Vrabel is just a really good coach. I don't think he's a coach that, gets you over and wins you Super Bowls necessarily without the players. Maybe if he gets players, he could. But he's just a hard-nosed coach that's going to get the best out of his players. So I got the Titans covering that one too. Falcons at Lions, another really fun one. The Falcons are 2-0. Lions are 1-1. They didn't expect to be 1-1 after beating the Chiefs in Week 1. You say, we beat the Chiefs at home? Oh, of course.
Yeah.
We're going to, and they lose. The Falcons' pass defense, no one believes in it. They've done pretty well for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, second in the NFL.
Second in the NFL. No one believes in it. They still think that's kind of fluky, that they're there. They've only played Jordan Love and Bryce Young. Those are 2 quarterbacks they've played. So I get that you can say maybe it's quarterback and not necessarily the defense.
Right.
So now we get to see him against Jared Goff. Can this Falcons defense hold up and then use ball control, running the ball with Mr. Bijan Robinson?
Bingo. That's the answer right there. I'm rolling with Bijan until he proves to me that he's a human. Because so far, he looks like an alien that has just been planted into the NFL.
Yeah, he looks so good right now. And I was talking to somebody, a friend of mine, and he was like, well, Bijan's not getting the load share. I'm like, this is exactly the load share we thought he was going to get.
Yeah.
Like, we knew Algier was going to stay. We knew that Patterson was, like, we knew they had other guys because Arthur Smith wants to run the football. Bijan's being used, and he is doing a lot with it. If you gave him more carries, it would be dangerous because he may be putting up 200 all-purpose yards a game.
Oh.
He had 172 all-purpose yards last week, I think.
Man, that sky cam view that Fox put out of him running through the hole, those are professional athletes that he's making fall over onto the ground.
It's crazy. Another game that is interesting to me, another game that I'm looking forward to is Chargers and Vikings, both 0-2. This is a panic mode, or your season is okay, like you're back on track. And both teams seem to be trying to lose by just making bad decisions. The Chargers, we'll say Eckler's out for this game, so we know that Eckler's out. That's going to be a problem. However, the Chargers continue to not change up their defense whatsoever. Brandon Staley says, this is my defense, and I'm going for it, and that's why they lost to Miami. You're now going up against a Minnesota team who cannot run the football. Now you got Cam Akers. Cam Akers couldn't run the football in L.A. I don't know what's going to be different.
Is he going to have a huge workload this week?
I can't imagine. They just don't have a big enough O-line. There's not really – the O-line for Minnesota is not that great. So they're not able to run the ball. They're not able to impose their will. And so you just say Vikings are going to throw the ball over and over again. But that's kind of what Miami did, right?
Yeah.
And Miami made it work against him because the Chargers never figured out a way to stop it. They just kept sending guys out on islands.
Oh, man.
And they just kept getting beat. And you're going up against Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson now, who can beat you.
Yeah. If they go one-on-one with Justin Jefferson, it's going to be a long afternoon.
If they go one-on-one and they play man coverage for the entirety of this game, Brandon Staley should not be allowed to walk out at halftime. They should walk him out of the building. Security should arrest him for impersonating a head football coach. If he allows Kirk Cousins to do whatever he wants in this game, because Kirk Cousins is good enough, you play man coverage.
Yeah.
If they allow that is going to be nuts. I can't. And I think they will. I honestly think they will. Like, I think the Chargers should win this game every day of the week with a reasonable head coach.
Yeah. So who takes over at head coach once Staley gets fired at halftime?
Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore. I have no problem putting Kellen Moore as the interim head coach of Chargers. The bigger question is who's going to run the defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is. Do you think the Chargers figure it out, or the Vikings? The Vikings get it figured out here.
So only 4 teams since 1990 have made the playoffs after starting 0-3. All desperation is on the table for both teams. I'm taking the Chargers. Because the Vikings lead the league in turnovers.
Look, I like it. I'm just telling you, I think the Chargers play man coverage and don't figure out the way to do it, and I think Brandon Staley's an idiot. But if maybe you prove me wrong. Maybe you'll prove me wrong, Brandon. Go for it, Brandon.
This was his plan. It was a 3-week plan to get through week 3. It was
terrible. I'm running for the Chargers. I want the Chargers. I think this fight, the Minnesota experiment to get rid of Dalvin Cook and then not run the ball is idiotic. Yeah, I don't think they're going to keep Justin Jefferson because I think they were going to go full board of we're just going to throw the ball. And when it doesn't work, they're going to blame Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins. And then they're going to kind of go back into mediocre and try and tank for a season and come back. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't want it to.
Oh, man, it was fun having the Vikings be relevant for a couple years, wasn't it?
It was fun. I don't think it's going to happen, though. Real quick, Steelers, Raiders 2.5-point favorites. This is a game of two teams that should be 0-2 probably. They're 1-1. The Bills, I had 183 rushing yards against the Raiders.
Oh, my goodness.
Matt Canada doesn't want to run the ball with Najee Harris.
No,
for whatever reason. I do not know. Does he run the ball against this Raiders team?
Not a chance.
Oh,
not a chance. These teams rank 30th and 31st overall in offense, by the way. This is going to be a dreadful, dreadful game.
Oh, come on, man.
Give me the team with more grit, though. I'll take the Steelers' money line, win it outright.
I like it. And finally, Cowboys versus Cardinals, 12.5-point line. It's the Mike McCarthy game. Trayvon Diggs is out. Can Mike McCarthy just not screw it up again and go out there? Can he put up some points? I want to see Mike McCarthy control the clock and put up real points. That's what I want to see. I think the defense will still be okay, but you lose one of your big turnover guys. You lose a guy that is going to help out in that secondary. Arizona's been okay this season. I don't really think there's any problem of Cowboys winning, but I want to see Mike McCarthy because I think Mike McCarthy is needed to cover the spread.
Yeah, no doubt. And give me the alternate spread of like minus 21 or 28. I think the Cowboys are going to win this game by 30.
Woo! Love it.